folks, this is Josh, Stoney Ridge Farmer. Welcome back to the farm. We're gonna have some fun today. I've got the Cadet all loaded up with some goodies that we're gonna plant, and we're getting ready to go in here to the tobacco barn. Inside the tobacco barn, hopefully, are my post hole diggers. Yep, right there, the oldest ones. Pretty cool. This is our tobacco barn. You can see the outside of it in a whole lot of videos, but you don't get a shot of the inside a whole lot. So we've got a lot of storage in here, but up in the top of the tobacco barn here, this is where they used to hang tobacco for curing. So that's what the tobacco barn is. This thing is circa 1915, 1918, something like that. And we've got some spots that need some work right there. Maybe in a future video we'll do that. But today we're going to be planting some grapes, and we're going to be planting some trees over by the pond, or at least a tree over by the pond, and maybe we'll have time to plant the garden. We got a big rain coming tomorrow. Be a good time to put some seeds in the ground. So let's have some fun. Guys, the German Shepherds love water. Get that water! Get that water! Man, they love it. Sitting outside here, they're getting nice and warm, so they jump over in the pond and cool off every day. So here's where we are. We're over at our biggest pond. This pond is what we released fish in, and there'll be a link at the end of this video to the fish release. But this is what we released 50 catfish in. And what we had out here were several trees that were kind of scraggly. So what I've got is a willow oak, and I pulled this guy up out of the woods. It was kind of in an inconspicuous place, but I was able to get the entire root right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of this planting soil, and we're going to go down in this hard as a rock soil, and we're going to plant that oak tree, and it's going to make a big beautiful oak tree, much like its cousin right across the way. So that is a big willow oak right there, not to be confused with a pin oak. Willow oak has the little bitty leaves that get clogged in your gutters, and they're an absolute messy disaster in your backyard, but they're beautiful. They're just absolutely beautiful. So we're going to get right about where the old tree was, and hopefully I can see it's a little green, a little more lush right here, so hopefully we don't dig down and hit rock immediately. I'll probably dig the hole out maybe about 1.5 feet, 2 feet round right here, and then we're going to put some soil that we use to plant our veggies in there. So right there's the soil, and we're also going to be planting some grapes. So we've got, I think these are Concord grapes. These have been sitting out for a while. Seedless grapes. Mars seedless grapes. We got these at the local Tractor Supply, and we're going to be planting those on a fence line up by our upper garden. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. It's nice to have an edible fence line. It's a short section of fence, but it's also cool to have those snacks. So we don't want to tear a fence up. We don't want to interfere with the cattle, but we do want at least one live fence line. Cool. So let's slap this guy in the ground. I got to dig me a hole. Ground is hard as a rock. Let me talk to you a little bit. Watch, I can't even get the post hole diggers in the ground. You see all these flowers? Well, they were not supposed to be flowers. They're supposed to be a tillage radish, but the tillage radish, or daikon radish, was meant to bust up the soil a little bit here, loosen up the dirt, and provide some biomass for worms and stuff like that to eat. Well, let me show you a radish, and I've got you a shot of the honeybee on the flowers. The honeybees are eating the flowers up, but let's get you a radish, quote unquote. So these daikon radishes, that's as big as the radish got. That's how hard this dirt is. And I'm having a really hard time getting the post hole diggers in the ground. I might have to search around a little bit. It's kind of a bummer. There are some little volunteer trees like this oak tree that's kind of in just the perfect place. There's a little red oak right there, I believe it is, or a post oak maybe. And then there's a couple more that I mowed around this past year, but I think the deer have kind of decimated them. This may change our plans, man. Yeah, so we've got another oak coming up right here, and it's probably, you can't hardly see it, but it's probably almost knee high. Head scratcher. Might have to rethink what I'm doing here, because I just dig down this far and I hit rock. That's all I hit. This is just covered with rock. The Stoney Ridge Farm is called Stoney Ridge Farm for a reason. I'll try a couple more places, and if not, we're gonna move on to a better place, probably up by the upper garden where we're gonna plant the grapes. Fingers crossed, I think I found a spot. This is an old antique set of post hole diggers. Look at that. I'm gonna go get a brand new pair I've got up there. I like to use old equipment, but not so much here. Bad news. Let's go get another one. I think it'll dig better with a better set of post hole diggers. I need to grind those off and straighten them out. Cobalt, pretty cool set of post hole diggers. They have a little measuring tool on there, and they're not worn out. They're heavier duty than those other ones. Here we go. Stick, rock, stick, rock, stick, rock. Good deal. That is 22 inches deep. Okay, so here we are. This is our tree. This is our bare root. A nice, big, healthy tree for sure. What we're gonna do with this hole is I actually stopped at the garden when I went and got my shovel, and I am gonna take a little bit of this garden soil that we built so good. It's awesome. And we're gonna put that down in the hole. Now we only want to bury up to about where it was before, so we're basically gonna fill in all up underneath this, and you can see this isn't soil, this is just clay basically. That's what we dug out of the hole. So what I'm gonna put down in here is a lot fluffier. You can see that. And this is just planting type potting soil. I'm gonna put it down in there, a nice thick layer, just like so. And we're gonna use some of this for our grapes we're getting ready to plant, and we'll use some garden soil there too, because this is really light and fluffy. Now, we're gonna take the tree, we'll stick him in here, and we're gonna put a little bit of this clay back in here, and I'm gonna stab myself in the hand with something that was in the dirt right there. No telling. This old farm, man, people buried all sorts of stuff, glass and all sorts of stuff. All right, now we're gonna turn over our garden soil, just basically putting a 5-gallon bucket of garden soil in there. Make sure we've got plenty of space all around our roots for our little tree to grow. And I'm gonna lift up just a little bit, make sure we're in there good. And I'm gonna pack this in nice and snug, but I'm gonna leave a little bit of a divot right here, okay? Meaning water will pool right in here. Not quite the divot that I have, but just right there. There we go. And I'll probably top it off with a little bit more clay, just like so. And then I'll have to scoop all this up because it's just full of rocks and roots and stuff. I'll fill that in. I'll make sure there's just probably a 1/2 inch little divot right there. And then I'll put a little bit more of this seed starter mix around the tree, kind of like mulching it in. And that will help retain moisture when we get this rainstorm tonight. So we've got a pretty good rain coming in. We'll pack this in nice. And that tree should do fantastic. I'm gonna give it a head start by going over to the pond, which is right here, and getting a bucket of water, and we'll pour that bucket of water slowly in there, a full 5-gallon bucket of water. I'll pull this little guy off. This tree will be 60 feet high by the time I'm probably 60 years old. So, but it'll provide us some awesome shade right here by the pond. Pretty cool. We'll go get some water, and then we'll head up and we'll handle the grapes. Take our bucket, hook this tree up. See how I put dirt all the way around here and I made a little pool right there so that water will set in. You can see the tree is wilting just ever so slightly. It's been in that bucket for about 2 days in a bucket of water in the garage, but it'll come right on out and it'll do awesome. We're just supposed to have a good rainstorm tomorrow. Cool. Get it. Get it. Good. Bring it. Bring it. Bring it. Good boy. Good boy. All right, so if you follow the channel, here's where we are. We're at the upper garden. So the tractor shed is here. This is what we call our corn garden or our upper garden. We're getting ready to plant that pretty soon. Maybe today, I don't know. We're supposed to have a couple more days in the 30s, and I've got some Blue Lake green beans I want to plant and also some Silver Queen corn. However, if I plant the Blue Lake green beans and the soil temperature is only like 55 degrees, the beans will rot under the ground. So I need to wait until the soil temperatures come up to like 60-ish degrees. That's what I'm told. I don't know, guys. Post me a comment down there. Want to do things right for sure. So this little stretch of fence is probably somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 400 yards, something like that. And what we have are 6 different grapevines. Now we've got 3 of each. So we've got 3 of the seedless, I guess these are Concord type grapes, and 3, you're gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong here because the packaging just went all to pieces. Lakemont seedless grapes. So we've got white seedless grapes and we've got purple seedless grapes. These things are gonna be awesome producers. And I like to have a living fence. I want to have a living fence right here because this is going to be kind of a garden area. And I think, scratch my head, the tobacco barn's beautiful. It would be awesome to put the house right there when we get ready to build our house. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm going to put all these in the ground right along here and I'll show you how to plant a grapevine for success. Pretty cool. Basically, all we're going to do is dig out the hole a little bit bigger than what the seed bag is here, or seed bag, root bag is, and it's pretty small. There's not much there. I don't have to dig too awfully deep. I'll probably dig about that much deeper than the actual grape itself, and then we'll have a living fence. So in about 2 years, maybe 3 years, we'll have grapes all through here, and we can get snacks. Awesome. Make grape jams, grape jellies, live sustainably. That's what it's all about. By the way, guys, what I'm going to do is lay these things out and probably take 10 paces in between, maybe 15 paces, and they'll grow all the way along this right here. It'll be pretty awesome. I love the little Cub Cadet, man. It's been super handy, easy to zip around on, and Mrs. Stoney Ridge loves it too. Let's get busy. Okay, so we're gonna go to our perfect hole right here, and this hole is about that deep right there. If you look at our root, we're looking at about that deep on the root. So we'll open this guy up, and again, these are just garden variety, quote unquote, Tractor Supply brand grapes, okay? We'll slide this out. Should be a root ball on here, nice healthy root ball, and it's kind of, there you go. So that's the root, that's the exposed root. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bit of this composted garden soil down in here. A couple handfuls, no science really behind the amount. And then we're gonna put this guy in. Now if you bury this too deep, it's not a very big deal. We're gonna put in a little bit of the soil that was in here because we want to acclimate this plant to the local soil, okay? And then we're going to put a little bit of soil from the bucket, all right? And this soil is rich and awesome. So we'll put a little more in the front of the bucket. And what we're trying to do again is just establish that root base. We'll pack it in fairly good, and the next step that we're going to do once this thing grows up a little bit more, we're going to attach it to this line right here. So this is called a stay. We're going to attach it to the stay, and we'll bring it up and let it grow all the way across and make us a cool snack on our fence. Now, I think we have 6 more to plant. I'm gonna get you over here a little bit closer and show you what I do down next to the ground, okay? So this is our stalk right here. And what I did is I put just a little divot right here, and that's pretty much the same principle as we did before. We'll take our old dirt. We don't want to hit it with the lawnmower, the old dirt clod. So I want to kind of spread that out around here so that we puddle a little bit of water. That's the uphill side, that's the downhill side. So water will come from this direction and go right in here and water this little guy. We won't need to fool with watering it. The root ball was really, really wet, but we do need to get rid of this rock. So we're just going to continue this process on down the line here. I think I've got 5 or 6 more. And if I want to finish out the whole fence right here, I'll go pick up 2 more. What you're seeing here hanging on the fence is called K-line irrigation. This is an irrigation pod that you can drag through your pastures behind your cows. See, it says K-line right there. You can drag that through your pastures behind your cows. And what we use that for was watering around the new pond down there. When we first built the pond, we weren't getting any rain. We hooked that thing up along with the pump and we watered the pond, and boom, the grass just took off. So lesson learned, if you're building a pond, get grass on it as quickly as possible. Any kind of grass, anything green growing on that pond dam, get it going so it doesn't start eroding. And that's what we did. It was pretty cool. Guys, I hope you learned a little bit today. This is how we make a live fence. So kind of like Wrigley Field if you're a baseball fan. I'm a big fan of using what we have and incorporating a little bit of nature into it. Now this will probably be the only section of fence that we do. Probably take 3 years or so for these grapes to produce, but once they start producing, it's going to be awesome. We won't have our cows in this area, and if we ever do, I'll just run a hotline right on the outside of that fence right there to block them from damaging or destroying our grapes. Now, if they nibble on them on the other side of the fence, nah, no big deal. There's plenty of grass out there. I don't see why the cows would nibble on them. Guys, hope you enjoyed this. We're not gonna plant the garden today. It's a little bit too muddy over there for me to get the planter in. So we'll see you next time on the Stoney Ridge. Thanks a lot. Please pound the like button. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Woo!
Well, come on down to the Stoney Ridge, bring your wife.